India, a land of rich cultural heritage, particularly evident in its extensive array of temples. From grand architectural marvels to modern shrines, these sacred sites adorn the landscape across its length and breadth. It is in these magnificent temples, ancient stones hold stories of gods and goddesses, where prayers echo through centuries. These temples stand tall like guardians of faith, welcoming all who seek solace and spiritual enlightenment. Among these temples stands the magnificent Ranganatha Swami Temple in SriRangam. It's like a giant fortress of spirituality, towering over the landscape with its intricate carvings and towering spires. The temple stands on an island embraced by Kaveri and Kolidam rivers. Covering a vast area of 156 acres, it holds the distinction of being the largest operational Hindu temple in the world. The SriRangam Mahatyam tells the story of how the temple came to be. It says that during the churning of the cosmic ocean, Brahma was doing austerities and SriRangam Vimanam appeared. It stayed in Satyaloka for a long time before being taken to Ayodhya by King Ikshvaku. After Lord Rama, an incarnation of Vishnu, defeated the demon king Ravana, he gave the Vimana to King Vibhishana, who wanted to stay with Lord Rama. When Vibhishana went through Trichy on his way to Lanka, where he became the king, the Vimana wouldn't leave the island. So he gave it to the local king Dharmavarma, under the condition that the Vimana always face the south, blessing him and Lanka. That's why the Ranganatha Swami deity, who is lying down, faces south with his body aligned east to west. The temple's initial construction is attributed to the ruler Dharmavarma. Subsequently, the early Cholas, under the king Killivalavan, reconstructed the temple complex as it stands today. Apart from the ancient textual accounts, archaeological findings such as inscriptions suggest that the temple origins date back to around 100 BCE to 100 CE, making it one of the oldest active temple complexes in the world. Numerous mandapas near the main sanctum, dating from 100 CE to 300 CE, were constructed by the Orayur Cholas. Over the time, there were additional structures and inscriptions added to the temple from 7th century to 17th century by various dynasties including Chola, Pandya, Hoysala, Marathas and the Vijayanagara, which ruled over the region. SriRangam served as the central hub of Vaishnavism during the reigns of both Cholas and Pandyas. Despite facing various political conflicts and wars, the temple town continued to receive generous support from the ruling powers of the time, maintaining its prominent position. However, in 1310, the passing of Malavarman Kulasekara Pandya I sparked a prolonged struggle for succession among his sons, and this internal strife coincided with the advancing forces of the Delhi Sultanate into southern India. After successfully conquering the double-walled fort of Warangal in February 1310 and claiming its treasures, Malik Kafur headed back to Delhi. Soon after, he redirected his forces towards further southern territories, targeting Dwarasamutra and Madurai. Destruction of this revered temple is vividly recounted in Tariq-e-Alai. Malik Kafur then decided to demolish the splendid temple completely. It was akin to the paradise of Shadat, lost and found by those Halites, or golden Lanka of Ram in essence. It was the sacred site of the Hindus. Malik meticulously uprooted it from its very foundations, while the heads of Brahmins and idol worshippers tumbled down from their necks. Stone idols, which had stood for ages, had never before felt the tread of Islam's horse. The Muslims shattered all the idols, causing them to collapse, and the other gods previously seated fled in terror. In their haste, they left behind much gold and many precious jewels which the Muslims seized. They returned triumphant to the royal court after completing their mission on April 1311. Between Malik Kafur's raid in 1311 and Ulugh Khan's expedition in 1323, the political situations remained unchanged. The conflict between Sundara Pandya and Veera Pandya persisted. However, the SriRangam temple flourished during this time, becoming a prominent center for peaceful religious and literary activities. It served as a source of inspiration for many Vaishnavas, who composed works of profound religious fervor and devotion. Recognizing the limitations of sporadic military campaigns, Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq opted for a different approach. He aimed not only to conquer South India, but also to establish effective military and administrative control over the entire peninsula. To achieve this goal, he appointed his eldest son and heir, Ulugh Khan, as the commander of the expeditionary force. A significant event in Vaishnavism's history, as upheld by the Vaishnava tradition, is the invasion of SriRangam by Muslim forces and its aftermath on the revered Ranganatha. In 1323, Ulugh Khan's Muslim army stormed SriRangam with a swift, devastating force. They mercilessly slaughtered a defenseless group of 30,000 ascetics who were safeguarding the shrine, seizing control of the temple. The once sacred place of worship was swiftly transformed into a scene of desolation and sorrow. During this tumultuous time, a temple festival was underway as Ulugh Khan's army approached SriRangam. The festival included a solemn procession of the Ranganatha Swami from the main temple to another shrine on the banks of Kaveri River. Around 13,000 devout Sri Vaishnavas have gathered for this procession. Upon hearing the impending invasion, Sri Rangarajanathan, the chief priest, acted swiftly. He disbanded the procession and arranged for Ranganatha and temple treasures to be secretly transported southward. Additionally, another group ensured the safe retreat of goddess Ranganayaki to a distant sanctuary. As Ulugh Khan's army descended upon SriRangam, they were met with unexpected resistance from 13,000 Sri Vaishnava devotees assembled there. Despite devotees' valiant efforts, Ulugh Khan's forces ultimately prevailed. In a cruel display of vengeance, Khan ordered the execution of 13,000 Sri Vaishnavas and the desecration of the temple. This tragic incident, recounted in Kovil Olugu as the invasion which took 13,000 heads, stands as a grim reminder of the violence and devastation inflicted upon SriRangam during the tumultuous period. Ulugh Khan governed the villages surrounding SriRangam for several years. According to accounts, he suffered from various illnesses during residence within the temple premises. Eventually, he relocated to Kannanur, where he defiled Hoysaleshwara temple, converting it into a mosque. This second attack on SriRangam stands as a somber chapter in the Vaishnavite history. The Tughlaqs maintained authority over Malabar from Delhi for more than 10 years, exerting direct control. Following the invasion, one of Ulugh Khan's commanders remained stationed in SriRangam. He vandalized temple's towering gateways and established his residence directly opposite to inner sanctum. The Vijayanagara chronicles provide significant support for the accounts found in the inscriptions. They offer detailed insights, particularly concerning the restoration and reconsecration of Lord Ranganatha Swami. The Madhura Vijayam, authored by Ganga Devi, wife of Kampana, son of Bukka I, provides a vivid depiction of the state of temples and their surroundings in South India during Muslim rule. It describes a landscape where temples have fallen into despair due to cessation of worship within their walls. Instead of harmonious sounds of music and prayer, the air is filled with unsettling cries of jackals. The once tranquil rivers like the Kaveri now bring frequent destruction with their floods, while the sacred rituals of sacrifice and Vedic chants have been replaced by the unpleasant stench of burnt flesh. The Vimana of SriRangam is described as almost reduced to rubble, with only the hood of Adisesha protecting Ranganatha from the falling debris. Similarly, the Lord of Gajaranya or Jambukeshwaram, once adorned with elephant skin, now stands stripped of all clothing, reflecting the degeneration of the sacred sites during that period. For many years, the Ranganatha Swami and the temple priests clandestinely transported the temple's icon through various villages in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka. Eventually, they sought refuge in the hills of Tirumala Tirupati, where they remained until the temple could be reconstructed. Nearly 6 decades later, During the rule of Madurai Sultanate, the Vijayanagara Empire overthrew the Madurai Sultanate. Subsequently, Lord Ranganatha was brought back to Srirangam. It wasn't until 1371 the idol was safely returned to Srirangam, coinciding with the restoration of Ranganatha Swami Temple to its former grandeur by Bukkaraya I of the Sangama dynasty of the Vijayanagara Empire. Following the reign of Vijayanagara Empire, which brought stability to the temple site for over 2 centuries, numerous renovations, fortifications and additions were undertaken. Over the next decades, the Vijayanagara rulers contributed to temple's expansion by gifting a pillared chamber in the late 14th century and covering the roof with solid gold sheets in the 15th century. However, with the collapse of the Vijayanagara Empire in the late 16th century, the region once again faced geopolitical instability. In the ensuing years, the temple site became a battleground between Hindu Nayakas and Muslim Mughals during the 17th century. The Nayakas fortified the temple town and its 7 prakaras, but it eventually fell under the control of Muslim Nawabs of Arcot, who viewed it as a lucrative source of revenue. Subsequently, it became a point of contention between the French and the British military forces. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, SriRangam Temple and the nearby city of Tiruchirappalli became focal points of Christian and Muslim missionary activities. The SriRangam Temple holds immense significance within the Vaishnava movement of South India. However, its tumultuous history involving conflicts with Islamic invaders is often overlooked in the mainstream historical narratives and textbooks. There appears to be reluctance among historians to address the persecution endured under Islamic rule, and attempts to objectively evaluate the actions of Muslim rulers are often met with skepticism. The dominance of Marxist historians in the Indian academia, who are accused of distorting historical accounts to align with their ideological perspectives, are also to be blamed. This has led to the perpetuation of falsehoods and the myths of religious tolerance, obscuring the true complexities of history. In the face of relentless attacks and the trials of time, the Ranganatha Swami Temple stood tall, a bastion of faith and resilience. Despite the onslaught from foreign invaders and the allure of conversion, its sacred walls remain steadfast, preserving the eternal flame of Dharma in the heart of Bharat. Through centuries of turmoil and strife, the devotees of Ranganatha Swami stood unwavering, guarding their spiritual heritage with unwavering devotion. Each stone bore witness to the courage of countless souls who dared to defy tyranny and uphold the sanctity of their beliefs. The glorious legacy of Ranganatha Swami Temple, rising from the ashes of adversity, stands today as the world's largest living temple complex, a testament to the indomitable spirit of Bharat. May its sacred halls echo with the chants of the faithful for eons to come, reminding the world of the enduring power of faith, unity, and the eternal pursuit of Dharma. For in the heart of Ranganatha Swami Temple, the soul of Bharat finds solace, strength, and everlasting glory.